Hi there, I'm Anna Wild, the Birth Whisperer, and it is my mission to help you discover the calm confidence that you need for giving birth. And if there is one video that I want you to watch from my heart, a totally important look at how we can all help to heal birth, not only the births that are yet to come and support babies and mothers who are still coming into being, but to heal our own birth experiences for the benefit of the future of the world. This is the video that I want you to watch. I am going to be talking with Elena Tonetti-Vladimirova, who is one of the pioneers of the conscious birth movement in the world. So I totally recommend that you also have a look at Elena's incredible movies, Birth into Being and Birth as We Know It. So she is literally a spiritual midwife to thousands of people and has been perfecting her method of healing birth for 33 years, training facilitators in the Birth into Being method who are now teaching all over the world, 28 countries now. She has been featured in the UN-sponsored book Force Such as the World Has Never Known, Women Creating Change, and is seen as one of the 30 most influential grassroots women in the world. And she recently received a Legendary Leader Award and has been featured at many conferences to do with perinatal and prenatal psychology, birth and pregnancy all over the world. Elena, I am filled with gratitude and really happiness to be able to talk with you today. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine. It's so heartwarming to see an inspired, passionate person who lives a meaningful life like yourself. So thank you for inviting me.
So what I want to start with is exploring this idea that most people can really understand that hearing and seeing things about birth in their adult life or as they're growing up can really affect how they feel about birth, whether they feel scared of birth. But what is really interesting about your work is this aspect of how one's own birth can impact your perception of birth. And so can you briefly explain how we were personally born, how this can impact our perception of birth and how we might give birth?
First of all, our own bodies are wired for suffering in childbirth because of this mechanism called limbic imprint. Limbic imprint is automatic function of the nervous system to absorb and memorize all of the early sensations and experiences from the moment of conception throughout our formative period, which is could be 7 years of age or 10 years of age, as long as the child doesn't have its own sense of self. Due to that mechanism of limbic imprint, the woman's body is sort of wired to know about birth. So if she was born through suffering, that's what her body registers as knowledge about birth. So she's going to perpetuate that knowledge into when she's ready to deliver her own baby, unless she does something with it, unless she actually kind of stands up for her birthright and decides that, you know what, I'm not gonna do this to myself and to my children. I'm just gonna cancel that old program and install some new software.
Right. Okay.
We are very much like computers.
So Elena, that's very exciting. Like, how do you this limbic imprinting that happens from, as you say, the moment of conception, we're being infused and surrounded by not only our mother and all of her experience and fears, but this generations of response to birth and motherhood. So
Right.
So can you share, like, how do we reprogram, right? We're pregnant, we know we've come from a birth that was full of suffering and there's all this other stuff there. What can we do?
Yeah, that's the thing, that we not only remember our mother's suffering, we remember our grandmother's suffering, because as you know, the egg that became you was in your mother's body, but when she was still in her mother's body. So it goes really deep, right? And it feels like there is nothing we can do about it. It feels like it's so huge and so what can you do? It's just part of, it's like the original sin. I believe that that's what Bible calls the original sin. It's deep programming for suffering and lack of normalcy. But it turns out that it's much easier than we think. It turns out that actually nature wants to be true to itself, to its own intelligence. And when we start making an effort, it rewards us with amazing, amazing experiences that we never thought possible. So, what can we do? Well, first of all, there are practitioners all over the world. The world of healing the birth trauma has expanded in the last 25 years so dramatically that that if you start looking, you're bound to find somebody in your area who does what could be done to help. I am doing this work for 33 years. So I'm really impressed with that number. Yeah, so I started in 1982. And for the last 33 years, I really searched and looked and tried everything there is to try. So I personally put together what I believe is the most kind of shortcut, the most comprehensive program. But my program takes attendance with the birth into being facilitators. So we have them worldwide, but if you don't have worldwide, when you're not around them, then rebirthing, hypnobirthing, I don't know, there is so much is available now. Just start looking. Start looking. My program consists of 20 processes and 19 exercises that together are designed for complete reset of the nervous system and a gift of a new lease on life, starting from the complete alignment with the spirit's intention for acquiring a body. We go into beginning from before conception, and we go and kind of retrieve the memory of what inspired us to walk the earth in the first place. So this is my approach, because I figured, where do we start? Where do we begin, really? Birth is not the beginning. Birth is basically kind of seals the deal. And conception is also not the beginning. Even neurobiologically, the quality of the first cell division depends on the quality of the sperm and the quality of the egg, just down to anatomy, to biology. So and the quality of the sperm and the egg depends on a few months of prior activities or absence of activities, So whatever parents were thinking or doing or eating or not eating. But that also is not limited to just this mechanical, biological, chemical influence. It also depends on what the mother and the father were feeling, what they were thinking, because our chemistry depends on our emotions too. So where do we start? And this is just our physical, emotional, and mental state of our parents before they conceive us.
And Elena, I know as you're talking, I'm starting to get really excited, and I know I could just dive in and talk with you for hours about the actual healing process. So much richness there. And I really appreciate your recommendation that there are so many practitioners now who are working with birth trauma, and just that you're really encouraging anyone who's watching this to seek out that wisdom and that support to do this work. I wonder if there's just one little place of exploration where someone could personally start. One point.
Well, first of all, the understanding that we do need to start. A lot of women don't even know how deeply they're traumatized and how automatically they hand down their anxieties and fears and limitations to their children. So first step is understanding that we've been handed down our mother's anxieties, and that we're automatically handing them down, and that we don't have to. So also the very important piece to understand is that when we see our children displaying some kind of stress level that is not working for them, every shift we achieve within our own psyche, within our own system, immediately is showing in our children. So if I go and take a workshop, if I take some webinar, if I go and take a acupuncture session, or take a massage, or go for a walk, or give myself time to really ground and center and focus, my children will immediately, instantly reflect that. So whenever we're working on ourselves, we are freeing our children from that piece that we just worked on. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to understand that connection. And not only we free our children, we release that type of kind of contraction for our mothers. I don't know how it works really, but I noticed that when a woman shifts, her whole lineage shifts. So this is very important.
Yeah, I think I deeply know this in myself from my own work with clients too, and my own work in myself, that I feel like there's this breaking of the chains, or a realignment in the lineage before us and in the children that we're giving birth to. And you're really starting to answer my next question, which is that if we've given birth already, and it may have been a traumatic experience not only for us, we may not have come across this healing information before, but our baby, we might feel guilty that we've hurt them or traumatized them by our choices and what happened in our birth.
Well, first of all, our children are not accidents. You know, if your child needed a different experience and a different mother, they would have come through a different mother. So guilt and shame is not part of the equation. Just delete that. It's never helping anybody and never will. So if you feel like something was less than you desire, just start searching for answers and a way of shifting. Guilt and shame are the most energy consuming experiences that a woman can possibly have, and they're the most counterproductive. So it's kind of paralyzes. If we're guilty, we feel like we're kind of taking care of what happened by just being guilty about it. No, actually, guilt seals the deal. If something went into the red zone, guilt keeps it there. So we need to completely kind of be done with it. And instead of investing the energy into being guilty, invest the energy into finding the answers. What can I do now to shift to shift myself out of that place? And there is a lot of answers. You just go online and find it. In fact, I am having a 4-week webinar, which is accessible to anybody who has access to online, access online. It starts, I think, end of May. And for 4 weeks, we will have a really good, frank conversation, and every session will end up with the process and experience. And that's the thing about my approach, is that we don't really do a lot of talking. We just go in there where you are and get you out of there where you want to be. Anything you would do, even if you don't seek help, it's just journaling, thinking, reading, meditating, taking a bath, just pampering yourself. Oxytocin actually is something that you can start building up like any muscles. You start lifting weights, you build your arms muscle. You start giving yourself time to receive pleasure, you start building oxytocin production, because that's what builds oxytocin. The every time we feel that we get that shot in the arm, that release of oxytocin comes into the bloodstream. So basically, for us to shift, we need to build that oxytocin level. And the only thing with it is, how should I say it? There are many things that we can do on our own. But at some point, we reach that point when the actual need is experience somebody else out there being there for us. And you cannot do this alone. You actually have to experience that somebody is out there that sees you and feels for you and is willing to do whatever it takes to hold space for you. And this is basically what birth into being experience is, that you step into the field where people know how to receive you and allow you to kind of open into that space when you are ready to first fall apart and then be completely assembled on a new, different level that you now wish. So, yeah.
Elena, I know this is really just a condensation of some of your beautiful work and your offerings. Just to conclude, is there one last word of sharing that you want to offer to all the mothers still yet to birth?
Wake up. Wake up. It's a big journey. And the more conscious you are in this process, the most enjoyable, the most graceful the experience will be. Because when we are unconscious, mothering and pregnancy and birth will be reflecting that level of unconsciousness. So being conscious means understanding how what we do is affecting our future, our children's future, the future of our civilization in general. Every human being that is coming here to it because they're called by their spirit's intention and purpose. They're coming here to experience love. We came here to experience love. And to share it, to teach others, to teach our parents, because when we watch our parents from where we're coming from, we think, what are they doing? Don't they remember who they are? I'm just going to come there and remind them. And then we get kind of hammered on the exit and we forget who we are and the cycle perpetuates. So what we need is to provide our children with the ability to remember who they are and what's bringing them to earth. And that is available when they're not traumatized during gestation and birth. So those babies that are arriving unharmed, they don't have those torturous questions. What am I doing here? Who I am? How to live my life? They're very clear. They're very deep and wise and telepathic and strong and healthy and loving, compassionate, and intelligent. They learn fast. They're just, it's a joy to parent them. So that level of consciousness that we bring into our people making is going to pay off within the next, within the next few months, few years, and few generations.
It's wonderful.
You can tell I'm passionate about my work.
Yeah, and I can really feel it as that we're all part of this gradually unfolding process of becoming more conscious.
Of course, it's a mass effort, and it's amazing that everywhere I go, I've been to 58 countries in the last 10 years, and everywhere I go, I look into the eyes of women who are so ready, ripe, and willing to wake up and snap off of that mass hypnosis that their families were in for thousands of years, and they're just waiting for a little, help, just something to activate their desire to be who they are.
Elena, I'm so grateful for your work in the world and for what you're doing and for sharing with us today. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you've been inspired, please share, because your voice supports respectful, positive childbirth for mothers and babies everywhere. Make a comment, send this link to your friends, post on Facebook, and sign up for more calm confidence that I share in emails at thebirthwhisperer.com.